Hello, everyone. Welcome to a lightning talk about the Colorado Lotus Project. My name is Kristi Keolakai, or Keolakai, and I am a co-chair of the Colorado AAPI Circle. First, a little bit about the Circle. We were founded in 2021. We have just over 20 members, and last year we provided $24,000 in grants. Some background about the AANHPI or AAPI communities. It's vast. It includes 50 distinct ethnic groups, 100 languages, and 75 countries. At the outset of the circle, we charted a path to create the Colorado Lotus Project. Our goal was to uplift unique voices and experiences in everyday life. We also wanted to benchmark philanthropic funding that supports our communities. An inspiration has been the report, We the Resilient. It resonates because it was created and written by Native Americans living in California. The data analysis creates measures that can be tracked over time. And the report also shares stories of community leadership, and it's designed in a motif that represents their many communities. A question you might be asking is why now? There are a few factors. First, the rise and increased visibility in anti-Asian sentiment and violence during the pandemic. Second, the census collected disaggregated data for the first time. Another factor was that Pew is predicting that by 2055, the AANHPI community will be the largest immigrant group in the United States. The final factor was a report that came from Asian American and Pacific Islanders in Philanthropy. It found that foundation funding for people of AANHPI descent, by and large, has stagnated. Specifically, for every $100 awarded by foundations, only 20 cents is designated specifically for AANHPI communities. The reason is not for lack of need, but because in most data, the diversity and experiences of those included in the AANHPI category are frequently lost and or flattened into one or two groups. So how can that be addressed, and what are the narratives we are trying to change? When we think of narrative change, there are several, but the model minority myth is one of the biggest. This is a politically constructed narrative that follows Asian Americans and other BIPOC communities. Asians are characterized as high-achieving, wealthy, and an intellectually outstanding monolith. There are narratives around polite children, tiger moms, and immigrants who have quickly assimilated to the United States. This myth is a lie. The quote-unquote success of Asian Americans, those at the top of the income scales, mask those with real needs at the bottom, and those at the bottom then become invisible. There's also a narrative that our communities are docile and obedient. That is one of the rationales behind our Circle's tagline of making waves. We want to dispel that myth. Having that brief background, let's take a look at the Lotus Project. This is the cover art by a local artist, Nali Lore. She envisioned the lotus and the hands replacing petals. It's a metaphor for resilience of our many communities, and this is a flower that lives and thrives in most of our communities. This is a snapshot of our research approach. And I should say the Colorado Health Institute was our research partner in this. You can see this in the full report, but the importance that needs to be highlighted here is choosing the right partners. Colorado Health Institute understands the importance of authentic community engagement, and we couldn't be more pleased with what this partnership has resulted in. Here is, again, this is in the report, but this is a summary of engagement touch points. But let's take a look at the data. This is the data that we in the AAPI community are used to seeing. All Asian Americans and/or Pacific Islanders are lumped into one or two categories. In this instance, it is poverty. This practice collapses our unique experiences, our cultures, and our needs. In contrast, let's take a look at the Lotus Project data. So this is incredible, and it's hard to read because the AANHPI communities have been decompressed from those two groups. This disaggregated data addresses the myth of broad Asian American success, and it unmasks those communities with the greatest needs. In this case, that is poverty. Okay, I've made this a little bit bigger so you can see it. This is housing burden. You can see that the richness of this data shines a light on some of the greatest needs within the AANHPI community. But the Lotus Project is not just focused on data, it's also adds historical context. In this case, a brief history of systemic racism and AANHPI communities. And local history is equally important. Here we have a story that takes us back to the late 1800s and a once thriving Chinatown in Denver. It was largely destroyed by white residents in an anti-Chinese riot. The city had long marked the area with a memorial plaque that placed blame for the riots on the Chinese residents. A community organization called Colorado Asian Pacific United made it possible to remove the plaque, correct the historical account, and celebrate Asian American culture with this mural. This story is from a local journalist, Gil Asakawa, about one of the few AANHPI service providers in our community. More stories are weaved throughout the report, and as is community voice. This is a quote from an East Asian identifying member of a focus group citing the need to have two jobs to support their family in a very expensive Metro Denver. Continuing on the theme of strengths, this journalist shares a story of Amy and her transformative experience coming to the United States as a refugee and her current role as a community navigator. Finally, through Lotus, we wanted to benchmark philanthropic funding. Unfortunately, for every $100, only 60 cents is awarded explicitly to AANHPI communities in Colorado. That's slightly higher than the national rate of 20 cents for every $100 awarded, but it's still less than 1%. In ending, Lotus serves many, many purposes for the circle and our communities. It was designed that way from the very beginning. Our circle's goal is to increase resources, lift voices, and grow our civic engagement. We increase resources through our own grant making, while Lotus benchmarks philanthropic funding and identifies the greatest needs for our local foundations to fund. We lift voices through stories of strength and data showing that we are not a monolith, and we hope to impact civic engagement, and Lotus identifies issues for change. A full suite of materials, executive summary, fact sheets, and an interactive map is available at this site. If you have questions or feedback, we'd love to hear from you. Let's connect. These are emails that you can reach out to us through. We also wanted to acknowledge our foundation funders who helped make Lotus possible. And we want to thank Philanthropy Together for democratizing, diversifying, and strengthening the collective giving movement. We also want to thank other giving circles for inspiring us to always do more. Aloha, everyone. Have a good day.